Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Sonder Social. I'm Malika for those of you who have never had a social with me, and a huge welcome to everyone who have joined. We have 87 and counting in the group tonight, so it's a pretty full house. So I'm excited for y'all to join. A few things, if you are new to Sonder Socials, make sure to say an I'm new. And we want to give you a big welcome. And then if you are returning, a big welcome back. I'm joined by the fabulous Jennifer Ogilvy, who will be kind of in the chat with y'all tonight. So make sure to say hi to her. She's dialing in from Texas, and I am dialing in from San Francisco. It may say LA on my head, but I am in San Francisco. So I am excited to be here with you all tonight, and get our week set up together. This is always a time when we all kind of have a little bit of Sunday scaries, but this hour is really best spent to mitigate that. So thank you for showing up for not only your each other, but for yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. And a few housekeeping rules. Just make sure to double check that that blue toggle is set to everyone. That is how we will communicate for the hour. So make sure to just double check, triple check that that blue toggle is set to everyone, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Okay, so for some community guidelines here, make sure to be kind and courteous to yourself and others, no promotion or spam, respect everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying, any product and accessory questions, and customer care inquiries can go to our team at hello@siliconsonder.com. And just remember, Silicon Sonder is all about these kind of community events. And these community events are really the best way to help elevate your journey with yourself as you become more introspective, as you kind of lean into productivity. This is really kind of where you get the most out of it. And it really becomes a lot less of an isolating experience as we journal, because we're journaling together and we get a lot of great insight and information from folks in the chat as well. So thank you all for joining in. And we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's talk about this month's theme of integrity. I cannot believe that it is already May. This year is flying by, and I'm a little uncertain because we're getting closer to my birthday, and I'm a little scared to age. So, that's a whole separate conversation. But as you think about this month's theme of integrity, I really want us to kind of lean in and really think about kind of what does that mean for you. So when we think about integrity, I feel like oftentimes it's all about being true to ourselves. And sometimes when we live our day to day, we feel like we're being, honoring that, but there may be times where maybe we're not honoring that as much. And as we think about kind of this mind map, we're going to start off with kind of a mind map exercise together, and we're going to kick it off together. But I really want us to think about kind of what integrity means to you. Is it really being true to yourself and being honoring kind of what you value? And are we in alignment with kind of what we value and making sure that we feel like we are showing up with integrity? So whether it be difficult decisions that we've had to make, whether it be communicating things that may be difficult to communicate, are we showing up with integrity? Oftentimes, it's harder to maybe disappoint someone, but if we feel like we're honoring kind of the truth, and our own truth, then maybe it's worth kind of that discomfort to live with that integrity. So just keep that in mind as we're exploring. And I see we have a lot of birthdays in the chat. So happy birthday to all of our May babies. I can't believe that it's already May. As I said, like it's pretty crazy. But I feel like the first couple months of this year have just really flown by. So happy birthday to all of our Tauruses and our early Geminis. And I'm excited for all of you to not only turn 1 year older, but become 1 year wiser. All right, let's go ahead and walk through the agenda together. So, as I mentioned, we'll start off with the integrity mind map for our opening exercise. Then we'll lean into our rose, bud, thorn, and then we will set up our weekly pages together. Let's go ahead and get started. Sorry, I'm trying to find my mouse here. Okay, the integrity mind map. So, we are at a new month, which means we get to start a new mind map together. So go ahead and flip to a blank page in your journal, or if you like to do this on a separate page, that's totally fine too. So make sure to find a blank page and then divide it into four kind of sections. And you can have integrity kind of in the middle. And we will explore each of the domains for each of the weeks of the month. That's kind of how our mind map exercises work. So if you are new to Silk and Sonder or a weekly setup social, that's typically how we set it up. So make sure to kind of allocate some space, and we are going to focus on the first box here together, which is yourself and your inner world. Okay. So this is all about identity and self-trust. So think about this question as you're guiding, as your kind of your guiding question. So where am I betraying or honoring my relationship with myself? So I spent some time to reflect on this, and I would say that I'm honoring my relationship with myself by becoming more honest about what I actually need instead of forcing myself to accept less just because I'm afraid of losing connection or disappointing people or being too much. So I really become a lot more intentional but about protecting my peace and really kind of sitting with the space when I need it, and honestly really sitting with my alone time in ways that kind of actually really are much more fulfilling to me, and then rather than kind of spending time in connections that feel like a little bit more fleeting and just for that temporary validation. So whether it be kind of creating cozy routines, making sure that my apartment feels really comforting and cozy, whether it be going out in San Francisco by myself and just kind of sitting at the bar, having dinner, or whether it be journaling or at a coffee shop, or just kind of prioritizing my health in general, like those feel like activities that are really self-respecting rather than distractions for me. So that's kind of what I've been doing much more intentionally these days. And then when I think about kind of what I betray, I would say that if I were to really be honest with myself, I would say that I oftentimes tend to stay emotionally attached to inconsistency longer than I probably should, because I always see the best in people and I really recognize someone's potential. And rather than kind of taking the connection for what it is, even though like the chemistry is there and it feels really intense and exciting and meaningful, if it's inconsistent, it's inconsistent. And that in itself is something that is not honoring kind of what I want and what I deserve. So sometimes I overextend myself emotionally, and I minimize my own hurt, but I'm working on those. But those are kind of the ways that I would say I betray my relationship with myself. So, with that, I will give you all some time to think about this and reflect and write down kind of your how you betray or honor your relationship with yourself when it comes to yourself and your inner world. So I'll give you all some time and then we'll regroup in a few minutes. I just want to chime in here. I think this is a beautiful exercise to just kind of reflect on kind of how you're honoring kind of the integrity within yourself. And it's really beautiful to read what you all share in the chat. So thank you for sharing kind of how you are. We're not perfect, and I think that's kind of who, like all humans have things that they're doing well and things that we're maybe not doing so well, but that's kind of expected. And so we shouldn't like beat ourselves up for kind of betraying part of your relationship with yourself. It's actually kind of normal to recognize what we may not be doing honoring as much as we should be. And that's just part of being human. And I just want to make sure that I mention that before we move forward. So thank you all for being so vulnerable in the chat and for spending a couple minutes to really reflect and think about kind of how integrity shows up in yourself and your inner world. So thank you all. We will now move forward to Rosebud Thorn. And for this week, Rosebud Thorn will be on page 30. And I always like to share my Rosebud Thorn for the week. And for folks who are new to Rosebud Thorn, I'll walk you through the exercise. A rose is something that's going well, a highlight or something that you're grateful for. A bud is a new and emerging opportunity, something new that's on the horizon that you're looking forward to. And then a challenge is something that you've been struggling with. I would say, so for my rosebud thorn, my rose is I feel like my sleep has improved quite a bit, and I am able to sleep continuously through the night. And that's something that I've struggled with for many years. I think I unconsciously have a lot of anxiety when I sleep, or there's just something in my sleep where it just wakes me up and it's really hard for me to go back to bed. It's easy for me to fall asleep, but it's hard for me to stay asleep. So that is something that's been particularly going well. Not really sure why, but I will take it. And my bud is I'm really trying to prioritize my health this month as I gear up for summer. I am feeling really motivated. I finally feel like my health is in a good state just because in April I got really, really, really sick for many, many weeks and had a really nasty flu, which lingered. And I finally feel like myself again. I'm feeling motivated. There's so much more sunlight after work. I am just feeling a lot more myself without a lingering cough or any of those other ailments that I was dealing with. So that is exciting. And I'm excited that I'm feeling kind of motivated for this summer, even though I don't really have that many plans this summer, but it's still fun to get out. My thorn is I have been feeling like right when I wake up from my morning, I am dialing into meetings first thing and have to be fully on. And that is really hard for me because I am not a morning person. I am a morning person in some degree, but like to some degree, but not when it comes to like being like mentally like on it for work and showing up like my best self. Like I just need a little bit more time. So that's been a struggle for me that I am navigating. And my meetings have become earlier and earlier and earlier. So it's been a little bit difficult, but we are making it through. So that is my rosebud thorn. I already see some folks in the chat kind of chiming in here. So I will give you all some time to self-reflect on your rose, your bud, and your thorn, and share with us in the chat if you haven't already. And we'll regroup in a few minutes. All right. Thank you all for sharing your rose, bud, and thorn. I love reading through kind of what's going on in your life and what you're dealing with. And just remember, while those thorns may feel a little hard to overcome, you will get through it, and it'll be another week soon. I feel like it's also good to know kind of what you're struggling with so that it's top of mind for us to kind of think about as we head into our next week. So, since we've reflected kind of our rosebud thorn for the past week, let's go ahead and flip to page 32, sorry, of your weekly planner. And we'll start off with that first box at the top. So this week, I want to feel. How do you want to feel this week? Think about kind of what that word is, what that intention is for your week, and write it down. I would love for you to share kind of what that feeling is for you, and share with us in the chat. So once you have that feeling, write it down. Here are some examples of feelings that may kind of resonate with you. It doesn't have to be one word, it can be a phrase. What is that for you? You want to feel aligned, blooming with courage, connection, and clarity. I love that, Janine. How beautiful. Hopeful and joyful, empowered, healed, successful. Let's see, empowered, enough, calm, balanced, more energized, grateful and content, grateful and loved, gentle and steady. Let's see, proud of what I've accomplished this week. No procrastinating. Lighter is good. Prepared and excited. Creative and productive. I love it. Amazing, amazing. So great, great intentions that you're all setting for your week. So now that you've kind of labeled, apologies, now that you've kind of set your intention of how you want to feel this week, we'll now move forward to your weekly major three goals. Oops, sorry for the overlap there, everybody. But I can read through it. So these are some examples of your major three goals. So it can be three things that you want to do this week to really support the feeling of what you want to feel this week. It can also be something, maybe your previous journals, that, maybe there's a goal that you wrote down that you didn't get to, come around to, and you want to make sure it's top of mind for this week. So you can do that. You can also have some goals that maybe map to a personal challenge for the week. So there's that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do for the goals. Here are some great examples. Somebody, repurposed it for like a early, midday, and evening goal, which I love. So, it's almost like a routine goal that they had. Another one is they wanted to feel really celebratory that week. So they wanted to celebrate health, family, and vacation. There's a lot of different ways you can set this up. You can also, separate out. Maybe you don't have three goals, maybe you have multiple goals for each, and you don't want to limit yourself to three. So you can see that bottom one there has it broken out between work, home, mental health, and they are kind of writing out their goals for each of those domains. So they have three goals per domain. So there's a lot of different ways you can set this up, but I will give you all some time to write out your major three goals, and then we'll move into the to-do section next. All right. We will now move forward with the weekly to-do section. So let's go ahead and look at the box to the left of the three goals. And I'm going to walk you through a couple different ways you can set your to-do list. Of course, it can be a bulleted list. I always make that disclaimer before I get into these sections. But there are a lot of different ways you can set this up if you feel like veering off from kind of your bulleted to-do list that you normally gravitate toward. And this is one example of it. So, this is kind of an example that really helps you prioritize what's important and what is urgent to really identify what those action items are for the week. So, this is the Eisenhower matrix. It's split up between urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. And it really helps us identify what we need to do, what decisions we need to make, what we can delegate, and what we can remove. So that is kind of the Eisenhower matrix in a nutshell. You can see some examples here of folks using it in their to-do list. So, you can find, what are things that you need to remove. Some things could be, procrastinating, or it could be scrolling on TikTok, which is something that I need to drop. One thing that I need to do, or I need to decide, is, maybe am I what date I'm going to go visit my family in Santa Barbara. That's a decision I really need to make so I can plan accordingly. Some things to delegate, any busy work. I have a lot of work items that I tend to work with my colleagues on. So delegation is part of like my work life oftentimes, but in my personal life, it's just me. So oftentimes this doesn't really get delegated. Unfortunately, it is just me. I'm a household of one. So those tend to fall on my plate, but it's still good to kind of think about, if there is somebody in your life that it can help support you, whether it be helping out with some chores around the house, that would be a great section to put that in. And then your urgent and important are your actual to-dos. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to set up your to-do list. If the Eisenhower matrix is feeling like a structure that you want to use. And then here's another example on the upper right here where it says physical, mental, and emotional for to do. So that's a good way to set this up as well. And then also here are some other examples. So you can also set this up as what not to do. If you want to do the inverse, you can definitely do that. Maybe you need a little bit of motivation. And then you can also categorize it. I oftentimes do that just because there's just so much going on in my life. You can also split it up into need, want, hope to-do list. So maybe you're feeling like, maybe you don't have a lot this week going on, but there's certain things that you are looking forward to as we get into the summer months. Maybe there are certain things that you want to do. Go ahead and write it down. Like, for example, one of my top things that I wanted to do in spring is really do a full clean of my closets. I moved a year ago with boxes that are still in boxes, with clothes that I never have touched in over a year. They need to be removed. So they need to be donated. They need to be out of my apartment. And I live in a studio apartment. So that was like a want that turned into a need. And I got it done eventually. So, you just gotta kind of think about kind of what those needs and wants are for yourself. And then finally, we have the bingo board, which is a really popular way to set this up. If you want to make it more gamified and make it more fun, you can add some stickers as you complete the task, or you can even mark it off with the fun marker. There's a lot of different ways you can use that section. So I'll give you all some time on your to-do list, and then we'll regroup for the habit and activity tracker next. All right. We will now move forward with the habit and activity section. So we'll finish up the page here with the habit and activity section. So here are some examples for you. So you can choose to include the goal or not. These can really be any habits that you want to prioritize. Maybe they carry over from the week prior, that's fine. Or maybe they're net new. Maybe you realize, like, hey, like, I really want to prioritize my physical activity this week. So these are the things that I want to do to make sure that I'm making that a priority. Or maybe I want to focus on my night routine. And maybe I feel like I need a wind down routine. So that can be a top of a focus for this section. So it can really be anything that you would like to put on here. For me, I feel like one of my habits that I have put on my week is getting up an hour before my first meeting. I think that's important to have a little bit of time to get up and wake up and have my coffee and just not feel so rushed right away. That's one. And then another thing is I want to kind of actually put makeup on in the morning. I know like I often work from home and there's no reason to wear it, even though I am on meetings on camera, but I still feel like it's part of my getting ready routine and I enjoy getting ready. So it should be kind of something that helps me wake up and get excited for my day. So even if I'm maybe wearing sweats on the bottom, it's okay to want to, feel like myself when I wake up. So that's something that I've also added on my list. So just kind of take some time to think about what those habits and activities are, and I'll give you all a minute, and then we'll move into the meal plan and shopping, mind body health plan next. All right. We will now move forward to the next few sections, and I'll give you all some time to fill it out. So, the first section is the meal plan section. This is a heavily repurposed section. So there's a lot of examples. I won't go through the whole list here, but you can put your affirmations in here. You can put your actual meal plan, your food log. It can be a place where you break up a chore and it can be a chore chart and you can break it up section by section. It can be a wardrobe planner. Maybe it can be an appointment planner. It can be a place where you reflect. It can be a place where you can reflect on the seven types of rest. There's a lot of ways that you can repurpose a section. So feel free to use this section however you would like. Cindy uses this section for her affirmations. I love it. And then, oh, doodles. I love that. You can use this place for some doodles. So there's a lot of different ways you can set this up. And then your mind body health plan is really your self-care plan that takes you through your week. So think about kind of what that plan is for you. I love this example here that's kind of like alliteration. So motivation Monday, talk it out Tuesday, walking Wednesday, thoughtful Thursday. Frustration Free Friday, Sassy Saturday, Self Care Sunday. So think about kind of what that is for you. There's so many fun ways to use this. You can see mine on the second. I was really on my workout grind and was working out every day. And I would put in my classes, so my hot yoga, my Peloton, my walks, kind of my plan for the week. For this week, I am going to also do my workout plan because I want to prioritize my workouts. And I feel like if I don't write it down, I will not do it. And so it's a way to keep me accountable. I am really into solid core these days, but I've run out of classes for the month. So I'm going to have to really figure out what to do this week. So that is what I'm going to write in my mind body health plan. And then finally, I'm going to walk us through the shopping list section as well, and then give you all some time to fill out kind of each of these sections. Can really be anything. So a shopping list can definitely still be a shopping list, but it can also be repurposed here. And here are a ton of different examples that you can use for your shopping list sections here. So it can be a bingo board, it can be a place where you put intentions, you can put your quotes in here, you can put your stickers in here, you can put on things that you want to focus on, whatever it may be. It's really a blank box. So I would love to encourage you to take it in whatever direction that you want to for this week. So I'll give you all a time to set this up, set up each of these sections, and then we'll regroup together for that last little box on the page, which is the I am loving section. All right. Our hour has ended, but we're not done quite yet. I want us to just take a moment, maybe roll your shoulders back, and take a deep breath and really close your eyes for a few seconds to really help visualize and identify what you're truly loving in your life. I know we started out with that rosebud thorn. But now we're ending it on kind of where you are in the current moment. So identify what you are currently loving and write it down. What is that one thing that you are loving? There's so much that goes on in our lives, but what's something that you are loving? Um, Making sure to identify what that is. All right. My new face serum. I love that, Carly. Oh, Andrea said the chat and the socials are so uplifting. I love that. So really think about kind of what that is for you and write it down. All right. So thank you all so much for spending this hour with me, with Jen, and with each other, and most importantly, with yourself. I hope you had a great hour, a productive hour. And I'm so excited to kick off May together. And I can't wait for all the fun socials that are queued up this month. So I'll give you all some time to kind of make sure that you check out the links. Let me go ahead and share the link to my Spotify playlist in case you want some instrumentals. And I will see you all at my next social. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and a great week ahead, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.